Hey everyone, welcome to Behind the Emerald Veil podcast with Mandy and Allison from Soulstar Energy Collective. We are intuitive mentors and healers, and we just love to share everything spiritual in a relatable and transparent way. Yeah, we also have a lot of fun on the podcast. So thank you for being here. Thank you for coming back. We're just, we just love talking about this stuff.
We sure did.
We have some housekeeping items before we get into it, though.
Yeah.
So first, we would just wanted to share that, say thank you first to everybody that left a review a couple weeks ago when we were asking for a review. We did a bit of a giveaway for our 100th episode, and so we did give away to Allison. Just kidding.
I got it. So thank you to me.
Just kidding. But it was
It was
a wonderful listener named Allison. So shout out to Allison. Thank you so much for your review. And thank you to everybody again that left a review. We're very, very grateful. So she received access to our Meet Your Spirit Guide course, which we actually have on sale right now. So we have a special offer for that self-paced course. And we really focus on how to connect with your spirit guide intentionally, because our spirit guides are sending us messages all the time, and we can be like, oh, I see 111 or 1111 all the time. But how do you take that a step further and actually connect with your spirit guide and have like a relationship or a conversation or that type of connection like we do with our spirit guides?
Yeah.
So we focus on how to begin that journey, and then also how to journey with your spirit guide. So how they will teach you is typically through a journey within meditation, and it's such a beautiful, beautiful experience. And sometimes it's like those are where you're like, I'm making this up, but because they're so fun and they're so different and they're so astronomical. So
yeah, it's amazing. So
yeah.
we take you through two journeys, two different realms.
Yeah.
Which is super cool. And kind of get you started. So there's like guided meditations in the course and lots of fun things. So that is on sale until April 8th. Interesting.
You just put that together?
I did just put that together.
April, where we started the sale on March 25th, which was the solar or the lunar eclipse.
I did not.
Yeah. And then we're ending the sale on the lunar eclipse. So through eclipse season.
Did you know that?
I realized that I think the day of. I just thought you put that together. I guess I should know better. I should know better by now.
Just like, let's just do it for 2 weeks. Yeah, let's do my shows. I'm like, 2 weeks is April 8th. I'm not even thinking about it. People are probably like, okay, what's so big with those dates?
We'll get into it.
That's what we're talking about. But that's so funny because I didn't freaking realize that.
Yeah.
Nothing is coincidence.
Nothing is coincidence.
Coincident.
Yeah.
So, okay. So before we get into our topic, a little update on from our last episode, we were talking about corporate and using this work within our corporate jobs and specifically within my job, because I wasn't doing it. And I actually
reflected.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I actually have some wow, it worked.
Already, like it was like that week. It was last week.
Oh, literally, yeah, within a week. So, and what I kind of found like pretty amazing, it was like in my head, like I very much am kind of like, okay, well, no, I need to set some time aside and I need to like make it a ritual. I need to be like, this is what I want to do. And I'm going to do all the steps and blah, 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 blah. And this is probably why I don't do these things, because then I'm like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah, it's too much work. But so I didn't do it. I didn't do that. And this was an aha for me. We had a conversation, obviously, when we did the podcast, and talked just about using energy alone. And one of the things that we were like, well, if you were going to use energy, what would you want to do? So just casually, I kind of threw out some of the things that I would want to do. And one of those was getting new clients. So within my role, I have to get 25 new clients, or the goal is to have 25 new clients that I, help. And so that was like, okay, that would be great. Perfect. Since November, that is our kind of like start of the year with
it's our fiscal year
for the bank. I have had one.
Just one.
Just amazing.
She's so interested in gaining new clients.
It's amazing. And since that little casual conversation of like, what would I want to get if I was to use energy, within a week, I'm not even fucking shitting you. I just realized today that I've had 9, not
What?
7, 9 opportunities come across my desk
For new clients.
for new clients, brand new clients.
9 within 7 days, within the
Yeah.
last week.
Mhm.
That's insane.
I would
See?
I haven't opened them, like I
Yeah.
haven't done, but
Like you
like I
haven't
haven't
moved
even
them forward.
I haven't moved it forward yet. But you know, even the like just having the opportunity,
Yeah.
even the opportunity
Yeah.
has not presented.
Yeah.
And I've had 9. So even if I got just 5 out of like if that come through,
Yeah.
like what?
Yeah. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I used to do in my previous role. And I would have a goal, like a volume goal. So I did in mortgages, right? So
Yeah.
for example, I would be like, okay, this month I would really, because mortgages are cyclical or seasonal, I guess I'd say. In the summer months, I'd be like, I really want to do 5 million in mortgages per month. So like June, July, August.
Yeah.
And I would consistently hit those goals. And then in the lower months, where people aren't buying, where it's not as busy, my goal was like 3 million. And I would consistently hit that by just that's kind of manifesting.
Yeah.
But when I was doing it intentionally, it was very specific. Well, I shouldn't say very specific. It was very consistent when I was doing it intentionally. Previously, before I knew anything about energy, it was just, it'd be nice to have this or to do this. But then when I learned about energy and I was like, okay, let's put this out there. Yeah. And I was experimenting and playing with it. And it was like, yeah.
Well, and that's what I want to kind of do is experiment but it was a real realization for me because it was so casual to the point that it was just said.
You just put it out into the universe.
I did
by
but
speaking it
not
loudly.
just speaking it like, oh, well, if I was to do this, I would do this. But it wasn't like I was like, okay, went down to my ritual and I'm like, okay, I would love 5 new opportunities this week. And then I'm sitting there going, okay, where is it? Where is it?
Yeah.
Where is it? In this instance, I literally didn't even think about it because it was just a conversation. And it kind of made me go, oh shit, like that is maybe part of the magic is literally like, we hear that not having attachment to it.
Yeah.
And I didn't have attachments because I didn't think I did it. So there was no attachment. And so, yeah, I was just kind of like, holy crap. Amazing. So
Yeah.
I'm pumped.
That's exciting. So we'll have to continue. You'll have to continue to update us as you move forward, because I think one of the other goals that you were wanting to do was to kind of do a cleanse on your book, like on your book of
So of
business.
course I haven't done that.
No, but we will before next week. So we'll have to, it has to be done because we need to do an update.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what are we talking about today, Mandy?
We're talking about, okay, we're going to go there and we're going to talk about the solar flash.
Well, solar flash, we're talking about solar flares. We're talking about not like the flash. Who even knows if it's going to happen?
Don't downplay it. We're talking about solar flares. We're going to talk about Ascension, the eclipse season, and
what's going on with the whole March 25th to April 8th?
Yeah, well, yeah.
That we were just going, what?
No, you were.
I was. Because I had the epiphany then.
Okay, well, let's start with
this past weekend. Holy bananas.
I feel like we've said this on the podcast, even just recently in the last month, where we were like, wow, the solar activity, because we shared the space weather app and the Schumann resonance app recently in this last quarter of the year, or like this first quarter of the year, we have shared this already. So we have already experienced some significant solar activity on our planet, where it was to the point where we brought it to the podcast because it was like, holy shit, did you experience that? And then this last weekend was even more intense.
This was nuts though. Like I've never seen it like this, and I've heard the people who have followed this forever say this was the record, like in the record books. That's what I've heard people saying. So like, for example,
wait, is there record books for this, or is it their record book? I'll make my own
I
record.
don't even know.
I'll record it.
But yeah, but in our little minimal time that we've been following this, where the people who like, seem to research it,
Yes.
we don't.
And
do
they
that.
know what M class and X class and C9 and
all
G9,
of those things.
G4, I don't know.
No. So all
We
I
get to
know
know
is
it
when I get a
because-
ding on the wrist that I'm like,
every 5 seconds.
but I'm like, I woke up. So I remember we got on Friday, we got an X class because I was walking out of swimming and I get the notification strong X class. And those ones always like make me go, ooh, what's happening? Because X is what they say is the strongest level of a solar flare. But then there's like numbers attached to it. So it can go like X, I don't even know.
YZ?
No, just X1. It was an X, it was a solar flare X1, but it could be like solar flare X5, the higher it goes.
See, I didn't even know this, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's talk, can we bring it back a bit though? What is a solar flare?
Yeah, we'll do that after.
Okay.
And so then I'm like, oh man, I was walking with my mom and I was like,
you were walking your mom?
I was walking with my mom.
Sounded like you said I was walking with my mom.
Walking with my mom.
Okay, sorry. I keep distracting you.
Fuck. Holy, somebody needed to ground before we got in here. And so whatever. So it was just like, it's not like we've had those. Waking up Saturday morning and I had like fucking 18 alerts. And I was like,
through the night.
What?
Did you even sleep?
I did actually.
Yeah, I did too.
Did you?
Wait, that's not true. I actually all weekend, so Friday, Saturday night, I had a terrible time falling asleep. Even Sunday night, terrible time falling asleep. I think it was like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning when I finally fell asleep. And then obviously I slept in later than I think I woke up at like 9:30 on Saturday. That's unheard of for me.
I think I messaged you.
Yeah.
You didn't message me back.
Because I was still sleeping.
You're still sleeping.
Yeah.
No, I think I did. I don't think I started getting a headache on Sunday or Saturday night and stuff, but like waking up and seeing that many alerts, I was like, holy shit, I've never seen this. And then it just didn't stop.
Yeah.
It was bzz, bzz,
all day.
Bzz, all day.
Yeah.
Like I was like, holy Christ. And it was like M class, and that's just a step down from X class. So I always kind of look at like, they'll say minor, moderate, strong. We had an extreme come through.
We did?
Yes.
I never saw that one.
Severe. I think it was called severe. And there was for the radioactive thing. And I was like,
radio.
I've
like the radio blackouts?
Yeah, the radio blackouts. And I've never seen severe come through. Like it was nuts. And then it continued into Sunday and it started to taper off on Sunday. But I remember I was heading over to Vancouver on the ferry and it was just like, I'm like sitting there going, oh my God, like unbelievable. And I felt very apathetic.
So that was in my card reading last week because we post a Monday card reading usually every Monday.
Yeah.
And in that, one of the cards was like, I've just felt this energy of apathy, just like.
And it kind of shook you because you had a hard time.
I really had
what's happening?
Yeah, I really had a hard time trying to express the message because all I felt was like deserted energy. Like it was just like a desert and stagnant. There was no movement. There was no vibrancy. There was no life. It was just blah. And I was like, okay, so whoever chose this card, you might feel a little
it was me
apathetic this week. And then I was like, bring in some color, bring in some fun, bring in some life. That was,
you know what I did?
You went to Vancouver.
Went to Vancouver, but I went to I love video games.
Oh, the arcade?
I went to the arcade.
Wait,
I was like a big kid.
You always are. Like,
oh my God. I was just like, get out of my way.
I'm going to win all the tokens.
I'm going to win all the tokens. And it was so much fun.
Yeah.
Good. I love that. Yeah, it's so much fun. So, and I'll even tell you my next kid, okay, we're going off topic, but you went there. Then the next day I went to Science World. Yeah, it was okay. I felt like I was in camp again. And you know, when you go for like camp day trips and you're just like, I don't know. It just brings me back to those days.
You mean like a school, like field trip?
Field trip or even camp. Like if you're at summer camp or spring camp and then they're like going to these things. And I never liked that. It made me very uncomfortable. So
I never went to camp.
I always went to camp. every camp. I went Christian camp. I went to, that was when we went camp. Like they literally had us overnight and doing like a camp out trip. And I remember asking the camp counselor,
Oh, yeah.
I was questioning Jesus and all of the things. And I went to Christian camp.
You need to come pick up your daughter. She's a troublemaker.
She's causing everybody to doubt. Oh my God. But so what we went there, and so my sister and I were kind of like, the kids went off to look around because we were just like,
Oh my God, are you going to tell them what you were doing?
yeah,
Okay, this is just what I deal with.
yeah.
So as a business partner, this is who she is. Okay, share.
Okay, so it started off as my sister and I went to the washroom, and I was
Good
waiting for her to come out, and I don't know, a kid walked in by herself, and I was looking at her, and I just had this urge, and I was like, bzzz.
What was that?
I don't know, bzzz.
You just were saying bzz?
That's all I did. Bzzz.
So
When she
you're
walked
standing-
by me.
You're standing in the bathroom waiting for your sister to come out, and some poor innocent young girl walks into the bathroom and you're like, bzz. She walks by.
Yes, I did.
Oh my God.
And then all of a sudden, she didn't look back. So I was like, whatever. And then all of a sudden I look up and I see my sister looking at me in the mirror. I didn't realize she was there. And she was like, what are you doing?
That's what I would have said. You're lucky I wasn't there.
God. And so I burst out laughing. She's like, it's not even like you did it because you knew I was there and so like she's like, you just did it by yourself. And I was like, I don't know. And so I was laughing.
So you're in a weird energy on Sunday.
I was in a weird energy. That was Monday. That was Monday.
On Monday.
And but I used to do that before too. Like kids would walk by and I'd be like, hey.
You're creepy.
Well, not weird.
Okay.
Or I'd be like, and then they look at you. So then this escalated because now we got the giggles, and we were walking up to try to find our kids. And
you mean you're the kids looking for your kids?
That's where it got bad. It got real bad.
Didn't your son ask you to stop?
Yeah, I did. And so we saw them and we like hid. And I said, let's get a farting app downloaded on our phone. So we're standing there hiding from them, and we get this downloaded app, and then we start laughing because they sound so real. So then now we're distracted by playing the different sounds and it being hilarious. And then we went incognito and started to stalk them because I wanted to walk up and go.
Okay, you weren't doing this to stranger kids, just your kids?
It started off that way, Mandy. And then it progressed to other kids and adults.
These poor kids are going to tell this story for the rest of their life, that there was some creepy women in Science World on Monday, the beginning of the eclipse season for these poor kids.
Oh God, I couldn't help it. I would literally, there was this one where there was like 5 kids and they were looking at this display, and I just like walked up and was like looking at it too, and I pressed the button on my phone and it was like, and then this one kid looks up at me and deadpans me and stares for the longest time, and I'm just like, I don't know what's going on.
Oh my God.
So that was my child's side. I don't even know how this came up.
Your inner child really was.
I like to have fun.
Yeah.
I'm like, those things, it cracks me up. It cracks me up. Did it in the parking garage on our way to the car. My sister was just done with me at that point. And the guy was like, what?
You just keep those antics with your sister.
But you know what I really wanted to do was I really wished I still had my fart spray. And
I think Science World is grateful that you didn't.
I was like, if I have my fart spray right now and we were going to Tawasin Mills, I would totally be like, psst, and then go and like videotape people's reactions.
Oh my God. I think you're in the wrong business.
Oh my God. Well, you know what?
You need to be the,
you need to have inner child play. That's a big part of spirituality. So if you are struggling with that, hit me up.
Yeah. Ali can be your personal mentor on inner child.
Because I never grew up.
So funny. Oh,
Okay, so
I don't even know where we
I
were.
don't even know where we were because we were talking about, oh yeah, you were talking about apathy and bringing color in, and then we
Oh,
went into my video games and all the things.
yeah.
I was so excited.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, we need to talk about what is solar flaring.
we will.
We can't do that at the end.
No, we will.
Okay.
We'll get there.
I thought we were there.
So, I know, well, because we're not going to jump all over the place. I would like to know how you felt on the weekend.
Oh,
So, like, with all of that activity, what was some of the things that came forward for you?
oh yeah, okay. So I was
We're not going
actually
to jump all over the place after I just jumped.
right. Dick.
Carry on. Dang it, loser. We're not jumping all over the place, Mandy. Get back
Only
on
me,
track.
not
Okay.
you. Okay, so on the weekend I felt I don't really and I felt really energized. I guess like I felt like I wasn't tired through the day. Usually I get pretty tired around noon or whatever. I was in the garden, not noon, I meant 3. You know, my afternoon nap I need sometimes.
Yep.
I was in the garden, so I felt motivated to get into the garden to clean it up. I was outside a lot of the time. I felt really good during the weekend.
Yeah.
Except for when I went to bed, I couldn't sleep because I was still like pretty amped up.
Like activated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a lot of gut issues. And I do find
That's
that
fun on the ferry.
it was awful, Mandy.
Let's not go there.
There was some close calls.
Okay.
I'm not lying. And the thing is, like, I haven't had that in forever. And so I was like, oh my God, it's totally the solar activity. And I was like, and great, right when I go away. And I'm like, those are the times that you just want to be home. But my gut was not a happy girl. It was not happy. And that for sure, I've noticed that in the past when we're having a ton of energy coming. It's kind of like my gut's like,
I usually connect to the energy like before. So I'm noticing a pattern where I will have it like ascension symptoms, you know, in a sense where I'll feel so exhausted,
yeah.
And headachy and just really like, for a few days. And then we get a huge solar storm. And then
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, so it feels like I'm almost tapping into
Same.
it a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I definitely have those where I'm
yeah.
like, because then all of a sudden it comes and it's like, that's why I'm
Yeah.
feeling that way.
Yeah.
That totally makes sense.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of aches in my body this weekend.
Yeah.
That seems to be another one that kind of just flares up where I haven't had it. And then also I'm
Like joint pain.
yeah, joint, muscle, everything where I'm like, what the fuck? It's so annoying. And I felt just like just anxious, a bit anxious.
Yeah.
Like I just, or maybe it was the buzzing or whatever, but then it makes you feel kind of like overwhelmed.
Yeah, so anxiousness is actually a really significant and I want to say like popular. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people get it. That anxiousness in your heart space. So like I don't know if anybody's I always feel anxiousness in my heart.
Yes.
And then I have to discern if this is anxiety, if this is sadness, if this is just energy that I'm attuning or like transmuting. And so like I kind of have to go through a process in my head whenever I feel anxious.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times our anxiety isn't actually our anxiety. It is connected to something else. And a lot of times these days specifically, you know, it's connected to these solar flares.
Yeah. Yeah. So the question that Mandy's been wanting to get to.
It should have been the first thing we talked about.
No, no way, man. The reason why the conversation came about was because of the weekend. So that's why we started with like, holy shit. Now, what is a solar flare? What is a solar flare, Mandy?
The activity that's popping off from the sun.
Like you've been wanting to say it. And then it's like
crickets. I don't know how to explain it. You always do that to me when you don't know how to explain it. You just push it back to me.
Absolutely.
But it's
you pushed it to me. I did explain. I asked you the question and you pushed it back to me because you didn't know the answer.
I don't know how to explain it. So it's hard to explain, but there's a lot of energy popping off the sun and coming down into our atmosphere onto our planet. And what that's doing is it's affecting the vibration and the frequency of our collective and of the planet itself.
Yeah.
So
you can kind of look at it like a volcano eruption, you know,
on the sun.
On the sun, like it kind of, it's like it's
a pimple popping.
Yeah, pimple popping. That sucker's big. Do you know that 1.3 million Earths can fit in our sun? 1.3 million Earths can fit in our sun.
Who told
That
you
is,
that?
I Googled it.
Oh, because Google knows everything.
Yeah. Well, do you know more?
I'm just giving
Is
you a hard
it
time.
1.1?
I mean, I can believe it. I need to fact check this.
Yeah, okay. So yeah,
That's crazy.
because we were Googling it because I was talking in the car on our drive
The
over
science world.
to Science World. No, because we were talking about the solar flares and because it was just nonstop. And so then we were like, ooh, how many, like, just to get your head
How big
wrapped
is the
around
sun?
that. Yeah. Like, how big is the sun? And so it's like, that's so fucking crazy. But when we have these, like, because it's all like lava and, that's all around the
Yeah.
sun, that's how I kind of look at it as like a big, like,
Burst.
eruption
Yeah.
burst of this like plasma coming out. And when it's facing Earth.
It creates that frequency that's coming down into our planet. So,
Mhm.
we all, I mean, you don't know, but we're going to tell you now if you don't. We're going through this time on the planet, and people have been talking about this since 2012, maybe even earlier, how the planet is going to be shifting into a higher frequency. It needs to release some of the density so it can vibrate higher, so it can heal, so it can be in this higher frequency. And the sun these solar flares is helping this process.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of like, and it's like, I also look at it as like, so then you think like this energy, this solar energy and frequency is coming at Earth.
Mhm.
And, we look at things um, and I think this is what the cool thing is like, this is scientifically proven. Like, this
Mhm.
isn't like, like, this is actual, like, scientific NASA, like, this happens, comes towards Earth. We all know that, like, the moon affects the tide. So
Mhm.
there's these connections to, that is so far away out there that affect us.
Mhm.
I think everybody
Because
can
we're
say
energetic
we're
beings.
energetic beings. Yeah. So this energy coming into planet Earth is going to affect everything, because everything is energy.
Mhm.
Absolutely everything is energy. So it's affecting us, it's affecting our electronics, it's affecting the water, it's affecting everything. Like, it affects everything. And even, like, when you
Does it affect
see
everything?
fucking everything, Mandy. And
Sorry.
you see, like, the full moon, how, like, there's that common thing, like, man, people act so weird on the full moon. I've heard that over and over and over. So many different things, like, where the full moon, and it's like understanding that how much, or we don't understand
Mm.
actually to the full capacity of how much our universe, or the
Astrological
astrological
events.
events and stuff truly affect us. It's like, but you can physically see how the moon affects the tide.
Yeah.
So right there we have a physical connection. So all the other things, like, it's not far-fetched that it's all affecting us,
No, not at all.
right? And
Well,
so
obviously we experiencing it,
yeah, but
right?
people, again, like, people, I get, this is my skepticism. Like, I completely believe it, but then I could look at it on a different side and be like, okay, if somebody wants something tangible, how can this, like, look? Because I could be like, oh yeah, it's totally affecting me, but because I think it's affecting me, it's making it affect me.
Oh, the placebo
Yeah,
effect.
always. So I always kind of like to look at it from all angles, to be like, no, like, this is something physically happening, and to try to even, like, explain it to
Hmm.
people like my sister or my mom in a way that it's like they can tangibly get it.
Hmm.
I can't explain it to them the way you and I talk about it, because they'd be like,
Yeah,
okay,
because we go there.
okay. Yeah. So I guess, like, with the solar flares, like, this used to be not a very common thing.
We've never heard about it until
Well,
recently.
that's because we weren't following it,
Well,
but
that's
on our
what I
spiritual
mean. But
journey.
they talk about the
Yeah.
solar flares in mainstream media right now. Like I've seen
Hmm.
clips of news rooms, I don't know what to call it, like CNN or whatever, talking about the solar activities and the solar flares and how that could affect cell coverage and the satellites and all that sort of stuff, because it can and it may.
Absolutely. And
And
the aurora
Borealis.
borealis, we've been like, that's been in the news, because
Hmm.
it's like, oh, we're having, like, because it's not just solar flares, it's also like coronal masses ejections. so many things. CMEs that are coming. I don't know what that is. Then there's like the radioactive, like the storms, because then there's winds, right, happening. And
Solar
so
winds.
yeah, that they then can push it in faster. So there's
Mm.
so many different things that kind of affect it. But you know, we just did a video Mandy did with dowsing rods. So if you want to check it out, go check out our Instagram, Soul Star Energy Collective. Plug. But in that we asked, are these solar flares upgrading our DNA? And it was like, yes. It's upgrading our physical and our energetic bodies.
That's why we feel it in a
Yeah.
physical, we have physical symptoms like the exhaustion and the joint pain and the muscle pain or the headaches or whatever, but we also feel it energetically because it's
Yeah.
upgrading or where our frequency is vibrating higher because of these solar flares. So, we're getting it from the sun, and then we also upgrade or raise our frequency from doing our own healing work and from raising our perspective and doing, kind of going down these rabbit holes and questioning and asking and understanding. And every time you guys listen to a podcast like this and you learn something, or if something hits or pings or resonates, that's an activation for you.
Yeah.
So, we are receiving activations all the time. Which is really fun because that's where the planet is headed. We're ascending. And so we need to go through these ascension symptoms because we've been existing in this third dimensional frequency for the beginning of time, since the beginning of our lives. And so now we're all here experiencing this shift where we're going to shift into a higher frequency. And so there's this uncomfortable stage, that in between stage we've talked about, which is super uncomfortable. But we're going to feel that physically and emotionally and energetically and all that sort of stuff. So we're just got to surrender to the ride.
Yeah. Well, and that's the whole point of like ascension symptoms, right? It's for raising our frequency, our vibration. Our bodies need to adapt and catch up and get to there. And we have to release things or purge things or remove things from our body that can't exist in that higher frequency. And, with these flashes, it is also can like activate or increase your psychic abilities. So
yeah,
right, even in that, and you and I have felt like when we've gone through dark night of the soul or anything like that, where there's times where we've gone through and we're like, holy shit, I felt it, I've just something's shifted, something's changed. I've leveled up. And we can definitely recall having those moments of like, I feel very uncomfortable in my body. I feel like everything's crawling and I just want to get out of my meat suit.
It's like an itchy sweater. You can't get off.
It's awful. It's terrible. It's great.
But it means good things.
It's good. It's like the two things at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like, this pisses me off. I don't like this, but at the same time, I'm like
grateful for it.
I'm so grateful for it. Because if I was like not getting it, I'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Damn it.
Okay, let's talk about the eclipse season.
Yeah.
We've never
first the Schumann resonance.
Okay.
Schumann?
Schumann.
Is that how to say it?
Schumann resonance.
Resonance. So the Schumann resonance is basically the Earth's heartbeat, right? So it's the energy coming from the core, coming from Earth outwards that gets measured, and
by scientists. There's an app.
There's an app for that. I don't follow that.
I do.
Oh,
I have it.
And that one's really cool too. So it's kind of like we're seeing like these graphs and these measurements from the sky and then seeing it from the earth as well, and seeing like the earth spiking in energy at certain times, which we will feel as well. And it's because Mother Earth is upgrading as well through this, and like all of these are like the solar flares are affecting Earth, and it's all this kind of like, is this the word cyclical? What does that mean?
Seasonal or cyclical? Same idea.
Well, I didn't.
It's the same idea.
Okay. I just wanted
Cycles.
to say it. I just wanted to say it.
Sounds so smart.
It does. And sick. Cyclical. Carry on.
Okay, were you done with that?
Yeah, I don't know where I was going.
I stopped listening to that actually. You do it to me all the time.
So mean, Mandy. You're the one who wrote it down.
Well, you said all you needed to say, I think, but I wasn't listening to the last part.
Okay, carry on.
Okay, let's talk about the eclipse season.
Go for it.
Okay, I don't think we've ever talked about an eclipse season before. Like we have eclipse seasons twice a year.
Yeah.
There's usually two bouts of eclipse seasons, one, spring and then one fall, I'd say.
Is it? I
Yeah,
have no idea.
from what I've noticed, I mean, I haven't really paid much attention because we're not astrologists.
Hmm.
So any of the information that we're sharing with you is just information that we've received and done our own research around.
Yeah.
So definitely if this is something that you're like, oh, that's interesting, go and do your own with anything we talk about on this
Oh,
podcast.
absolutely.
Our whole intention with the podcast is to introduce you to topics so that if that feels good for you, you should be taking it further and going down your own rabbit hole. But okay, so the eclipse season. Eclipses are here to really expedite either like some shift in your life.
Mm.
And it might not always be a big shift or a big change, or, there's been tons of eclipse seasons where I was like, well, I didn't really experience anything significant.
Yeah.
But sometimes it can start the ball rolling for healing that you might be doing or being asked to do, or changing things in your life, that sort of thing. So you might experience those things within eclipse season. And usually we just had a lunar eclipse, which means a moon eclipse. So it was a new moon eclipse
Yeah.
on March 25th, which was just on Monday.
Yeah.
And then we have another eclipse, a solar eclipse, so eclipse of the sun on April 8th. So it's said that during this period of time, the energy is potent
Mhm.
and heightened. And it depends on where the moon is in the zodiac calendar. So they're saying that the eclipse on the 8th is going to be connected to Libra
I thought it was Aries.
or Aries.
I don't
One of the
freaking
two
know.
is Aries or Libra. Aries and Libra.
Probably Aries and Libra.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one was Aries, one was Libra. So,
And it feels like the theme with it
mhm,
is really of relationships. I
mhm.
feel like I've heard that many times, that it's kind of like bringing.
Things that you need to release.
Hmm.
So, for me, I'm actually noticing has a lot to do with my health.
Hmm.
And this has been a theme that has been around for a while for me. And, I go in and out of times where I'm really good with it. And then I kind of fall off the way. So patterns, noticing those patterns in you.
Yeah.
And then I guess this one that's coming up is going to be like, okay, like you're going to be really asked to look at these patterns, or they could be mindsets or programs or relationships of some sort, whether that's with a person, with an employer, or with whatever. So really looking at these things in this period of time.
Well, and I think like the solar flares are amplifying
Yeah. So
all
we
of this, because solar flares are also like, it's like just think of it coming and hitting the planet and like disrupting and bringing up the shadows.
Yeah, and it's even more so because we have a full moon on this Monday. So it was like new moon started off eclipse season, then middle of the eclipse season we have a full moon, and then we have a solar eclipse to end the
So all
season.
of these on their own
Yeah, are
are
significant.
significant.
Yeah.
And then I was came across a video you did too, where we have so many
Mm.
planets in the same like part of the astrology circle chart, whatever the fuck it is.
We don't even
I
know how
don't
to
even
talk
know what
about
it
it.
is. I'm not an astrologer, but I'm like, I was like looking at it going, oh my God. And this astrologer was saying, like, this is
April's gonna be Yeah,
significant.
April's gonna be a big month.
Yeah. And so, this could mean like, purging and seeing things in our own lives coming forward, or
The collective.
yeah, the collective for sure. I
Hmm.
think we're going to see lots of things kind of like coming to light, coming forward, that need to be.
Yeah, we already have just started.
Yeah, right. We're seeing so much in the media. And at the same time, like, it's so funny because in the media, when we see certain things, sometimes you do have to say, okay,
You have to be careful.
what are they distracting us? Because what's happening over
Yeah.
here, right? Like,
Yeah.
what's over here?
Hmm.
And then it's like, okay, but maybe look behind them and see what's happening
Yeah.
there.
What is your tactic here? I'm
Mm-hmm.
on to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I'm like, it just, so at like, it's, at one point, and on one aspect, it's like okay, yeah, like we need to see things coming up to the surface, and even for ourselves, it's kind of like what no longer serves us. What healing do we need to do? What shadows do we need to bring forward?
Mhm.
These are all really important things to do, but at the same time, it's like shit,
Mhm.
because it's not fun, right? But then, obviously any type of healing or shadow work is not fun, but it's the gift, or the best thing out of it is going to be that you get to release it and move away from
Yeah.
it, right?
We always talk about how like I don't know, like we always talk about, you and I always talk about how you can avoid your healing for so long, but it takes just as much effort to avoid that healing than it does to actually face the things that you need to heal and move through the healing. Like it is the same type of effort. Sorry,
Hmm.
it's the same effort. It's just a different type of effort. You
Absolutely.
still have
And you're
your,
contributing to your,
but
if you're not healing, you're a contributor to that trauma,
yeah,
because you're continuing to allow it to.
you're just pushing it off and pushing it off and pushing it off. What people don't realize, like the people that are avoiding their healing, what they don't realize is that it's so much lighter. It like, and I don't mean lighter like bright, I mean like energetically lighter
Mhm.
once you move through even the first part of that healing. Like it's almost like you release all these weights from your shoulder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it feels so much lighter. You don't feel so dense. You just are allowed to, you just feel happier. And it's like, God, why did it take so long to do that
Why
healing or
didn't I
to
face that
God? It
forever ago?
was just as much effort to avoid it.
Absolutely. Well, you could even just say that in the sense of like if you ever procrastinated.
Yeah,
I
so true.
procrastinate all the time. Or I build things up in my head, and I'm like, if I
Oh.
literally just did it, and then I finally do it, and I'm like, isn't that bad? Man, that's been on the back of my mind, just sitting there going, to do this, you need to do this. And I've been like, get out of here, beat it. And it's been something that has just been, it won't go away. And then you finally do it, and you're like, shit, I made it way bigger in my head than it was. Everybody I know, every single person has had this.
Yeah,
Everybody.
yeah.
So that is just a small example of like, that's the same thing with the healing.
Hmm.
You were sitting there and it's this thing that's niggling, that's affecting you, affecting your decisions, affecting your energy. It's always there, whether you're aware of it or not. It's just hanging out there. But you're like, I'm too scared to face it. But then if you finally do face it and tackle it, all of a sudden that stupid, annoying thing that has been creating an energy and, bothering you is gone.
Hmm.
And then you're like, holy shit, why didn't I do this sooner?
Yeah,
It really is kind of like that same thing.
yeah, no, I know that.
Good for you. I'm
Okay.
like, Mandy's like, okay, stop talking.
What do we want to touch on that last point there?
You go for it. I'm like, if I talk, Mandy's like, okay, I know.
I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing.
You
Do you want to talk about the solar flash?
go for it.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the solar flash. And the solar flash is something that there's so many channelers and so many spiritual teachers, mentors, whatever, that talk about this on YouTube, on Instagram, on like all over the place. It's not something that we talk about in our community too much because there can be some fear attached to this concept, and we don't ever want to project any fear into our audience or into our community because we don't feel like there's anything to be fearful of. But the way that some people present or talk about it can induce some fear. But the solar flash, I feel like it is important to chat about because it is an event that we could experience in the next little while, and nobody knows when this event will happen. Um, but it is said that when this solar flash happens, things will shift dramatically for us and our energy on planet Earth for us. And this is why a lot of us out are currently going through an awakening, why we're asking those questions, why we're working to raise our vibration, why we're working to do our healing, why we're interested in spirituality. It's because, as you know, we're all meant to ascend and vibrate higher with the planet. Like, as I guess people on the planet, we have to ascend with the planet, right? So they talk about how there could be an event that like all these solar flares that we're receiving there could be one potent one, or I've also heard that there could be three smaller ones or
Mm,
three smaller ones or something, where that will hit our planet, and it will be kind of like an instant activation
yeah.
in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And after that event, where our consciousness is just going to be, it's going to be easier to access our, growth consciousness, our, I guess we're going to be more connected. We're going to be more intuitively open. We're just going to be able to, for the people that have been doing the work, it's going
Yeah.
to be, we're going to be able to kind of access that energy and that fifth dimensional energy a lot easier than we can currently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add to that?
No.
I hope it happens.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's been talked about
Forever.
forever. So it's kind of like,
I've heard people say it was supposed to happen in like 2016,
yeah.
and then it got postponed or it didn't, or people have been talking about this for a really long time, and who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
We're not predicting anything. We're not here to tell you it is going to happen. It is just an event that could happen. And I think it would be beautiful.
And you can see how it can be plausible from
Hmm.
just the solar activity being so heightened.
Yeah.
So the more weekends or days that we have, like we just had, it does become more of like a reality where it's like, okay, wait a minute, this could actually happen. And I do think it's reasonable to say that, we talk about these solar flares and stuff, like the news talks about it disrupting our cellular or
Hmm.
satellites and stuff like that. So when you say 1.3 million Earths fit into the sun, that is a massive, massive ball of fire. And it absolutely has the potential to knock out all our satellites. Like
Oh,
that,
for
you would be
sure.
crazy to be like, oh, no, no, that wouldn't happen.
Hmm.
Absolutely it could. So, it's one of those things that is just kind of like the more we're seeing it being angry and spitting stuff off, like it has been, it's kind of gives that idea of like a big one
Hmm.
to be more plausible.
Yeah. So, if we were going to give any advice on that, just making sure you're prepared for it, like you would for any type of natural event to happen, making sure you have extra food or water or some cash, or a place to go if you need to. I know we live in an earthquake zone, so we have our camper, like our trailer,
Yeah.
our RV that we have, and I have it always stocked with propane and water and canned food or whatever, just in case there's an earthquake or some sort of natural event in our area. So I know that if something was to happen and the power went out, we could use our generator and do it there. But it's not saying like you have to go and go get a generator, Allison.
No,
Just come to my house.
well, and I think like it's just having a plan with
Yeah.
anything. Like we have a plan with our family for earthquakes,
Yeah.
for if the kids were at school,
Hmm.
what are you gonna do? Okay.
The
If
schools have plans.
yeah, if you have the power outage and we can't get a hold of each other, what are we gonna do? Like,
Hmm.
these are real things that can happen
Regardless of a solar
regardless
flare or
of
not.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's always just smart, just like you do fire drills, earthquake drills in the States, I think it's like gunmen drills.
Right.
Well, we have that too.
Yeah.
In Canada, the kids if there was an active shooter, we
Oh
have
yeah,
those
yeah,
drills.
we do.
So you have all these drills in place for if any type of event's gonna happen, it's like, so that would be just part of it, like just knowing, okay, if you were to lose, if our satellites were to go and our cellulars and all this stuff will go down, what would you do?
I'm gonna play games with my kid, board games. I have a bunch of I was thinking about this the other day. I'm like, okay, if my kids had no like video games or their phones or Netflix or whatever, I'm like,
Mm,
what do I have prepared for to keep them
it's
occupied?
true. It's true, right?
Yeah.
Because
I can teach Jace how to play poker.
oh my God, I'm like, well, I like having crafts and having all the
Yeah.
things, like, and it's
Well,
and I
garden, I
think
don't
like,
know.
and then even just for yourself, like, to stay calm, because I
Mm,
know in those type of situations, like we can get panicky. Also, if you're very sensitive to energy and other people's energy in the
Oh,
collective,
yeah.
you would feel the collective's panic
Mm-hmm.
in that. And when you think about like if everything got wiped out, all you know is your little community.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's wiped out, it's wiped out. So this is taking us back
Mm-hmm.
to those days where the little
Community.
villages, and whatever was said in that village was your reality.
Yeah.
So when we talked about witches or things like that, and we're like, why would these people believe that? And it's like, because that's literally the reality of the people. And so if everything was taken out, we go from like connected to everything to just
Mm-hmm.
our community. um and so it's kind of like, being able to just breathe,
Yeah.
right? Like breathe through it.
Mm-hmm.
Know that all you can do is control your own thing. And it kind of reminds me of like COVID when that first happened. And there was like, I definitely felt anxious when
Well,
that all kind
the
of like
the
the
media.
media made it like,
This time we
whoa.
wouldn't have the media.
No, which is, yeah, would be a lot better. But I remember in that moment being like, okay, I need to, for days, I remember being like, okay, because the media would make me very anxious with how it was working. And I was like, okay, you have a roof over your head.
With food in the
Like,
fridge.
I'm like, there's nothing wrong. We can go for walks. I'm like, It's fine.
I actually really
It's
enjoyed that
Me
quietness.
too.
It was like it was peaceful.
Yeah, and it's like just remembering you're good.
Mm-hmm.
You're good, and like you can only control what's in your own perimeter, and that's all you should worry about. So I kind of found like a lot of calmness from there. So
Yeah.
yeah, so with anything, it's just kind of like it's always just like just be prepared for whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So makes me think like, oh yeah, like I should update my earthquake kit. Not for this, just in general.
Well, because we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Making
It's
sure you're prepared for anything.
Well, exactly. Like,
Mm-hmm.
wills, all those things. Like, you don't think about these
It's
things
funny.
until you talk about
Well,
it.
and it's funny you say that because right before COVID, like I wasn't reading energy or anything at that point. I was just at the very beginning stages of my awakening, and I had just, I was listening to podcasts and YouTube videos and stuff and learning little. But I remember feeling I think it was in December, I'm like, oh, I really feel like we should get our earthquake kit together and our wills done and make sure we have proper life insurance. And like I was like ticking the boxes, and
Yeah.
then COVID hit, and I'm like, oh, now I understand why I was feeling called to organize my life in the sense that I felt like I needed to prepare for something.
Something. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
and then so then it all made sense. So,
Yeah.
and I was feeling a sense like that again earlier in the year, just like, oh, we never did the wills. Those wills.
Did you do them?
No,
Yeah.
but I'm
Well,
going to now. And
there
our
you go.
passports, I need to update our passport. Like there's just little like things you need to do, right? So
Yeah.
those are on my list.
But, leading up to April 8th, it'll be interesting just to kind of see. There's a lot of people are talking about it.
Try not to feel
Yeah.
into the fear. Like there is a lot of people out there that are spreading a message, but it is the undertone and the vibration of the message is fear, because that is what brings people in, right?
Yeah.
That is the first tactic of any type of media. Well, I've learned, and we like learned in
Well, we like it as beings. It's the weirdest thing.
I
Like, do
know.
you find though, if somebody's like puts a video and they're like, "Oh my God, guess what's happening?" And it's like you get this
What's
little
happening? Yeah.
rush of like adrenaline. You're like, "What?"
Yeah.
Where if it's like, "Oh, peace," and you're like, "Oh, okay, move on."
Boring.
It's
But
so weird
just pay
though.
attention, pay attention to your energy as you're learning and listening. And with anything and everything.
Yeah.
If you're feeling like this, like anxiety or this fear, just take a moment to breathe it out and then recenter yourself.
Transmute it
Yeah.
type of thing. Yeah, I kind of look at it as like it's so interesting to listen to all the videos and all that stuff, and I'm like, oh, only time will tell.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just kind of like, whatever happens, happens. I'm not attached to anything.
Me either.
Yeah.
I'm in my middle space.
I thought you were going to say in your mid-age or something like that. I was like, what?
Our middle space.
We're in our middle space, which is kind of like, let's just sit back and watch and grab the popcorn.
I want to see when April 8th is. Oh, that's
Monday.
2 Mondays from now.
Yeah, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's on a Monday.
Okay.
Interesting.
Well, I think that's all we had for today.
Yeah.
So we just want to say thank you for coming back, and we will see you next week.